I'm architect Sagar and I'm an architect as well as a full-time content creator now. So it's been a tough space for me. I've been here for 3 years now. Before that, I graduated from Sagar College of Architecture from Pune. So I don't know if your audience will know that, but it's in India, and I graduated in 2016, year of 2016 now. And then I worked with some multinational companies, and then here I am now. So creating content, taking courses, doing webinars, seminars, workshops, and many more things.
I would love to know if you always knew architecture was for you, or if it was something that you sort of got into and you happened to just find it.
So every other question you have sent to me has a funny story to it.
Okay, good.
And me being a very funny and humorous guy, and you can see that in my content as well. I'm the same person who makes that content. So the funny story was, so we have like streams when we are into high school. So I'm not very familiar with how it goes with US, but in our system it's like up to 10th board exams, and we have 11th and 12th, which is our when we realize that what we want to do next to our college, like which stream we want to select. So there is 11th and 12th, and then we go for 5 years of architecture. So when I graduated from my 10th or 11th standard, I was asked by my family, like, what do you want to do? And me being a guy, I hated going into medical, not becoming a doctor, because they have like these thick books. I did not want to read that.
Yeah.
Then the other option, which is very famous in India, which was becoming an engineer. And I again hated that because you have to study a lot, and again, your maths or everything should be very good. The option was, then I am like, okay. And then I chose architecture, and then I thought that architecture might be good for me. But again, I am very bad at sketching and still am. I can I cannot draw trees still. So it was like my family was asking, you are the only person in the family who will be going into that stream. No one is going to back you up, or no one is going to help you up when you pass out. So you have to search for your job on your own, do your practice on your own. And I was like, challenge accepted. I don't want to do medical and engineering. I will just go to architecture. Just because of this challenge, went into that. And again, I used to watch Nat Geo a lot, mega structures, if you know.
Okay.
I grew up watching that, and I was very fascinated about the bridges, the tall buildings, and everything. So I thought that I have some interest. I don't know, I have some interest to, I think I can go into architecture. And that's how I went into architecture. I took the admission. I passed with good numbers, so that is good.
Awesome. And you fell in love with it. So
I'm not sure I'm in love with it.
all right. So it took the path, but there's double-edged sword there. So you said you graduated in 2016 and then you started working at a firm. Do you still work at a firm, or what is your current?
No. So I used to work there like from 2016 when I graduated, like 6-7 months I chilled a lot.
Yeah.
While chilling also, every Indian household is like, oh, he's an architect, he should design something for us. And for me, they gave me my first project, which was a bathroom for my own house. So I designed that, and in those 6 months, I also applied for jobs. And it was like I didn't knew where I need to apply. Everywhere I applied, like I sent over 200 to 300 emails to every firm in India. And I was not knowing that how we should apply, what is the process, and they don't teach us in college like how we can write an email, what's the cover letter, and anything is not like, it is not taught to us. And then I landed up in a job, same in my hometown, which was BIM. So in the field of BIM, building information and module. So I was an architect there first for a year. Then I became a project manager and then a team leader. I worked there for 3.5 years. And then I quit to start my own firm. So that was my journey in after graduation.
Awesome. So you have your own firm now. Is it just you, or do you have any team members?
It's just me. So I practice as an architect as well as the content is full time. So on the both companies, I am the only one person.
Right. So you have your content creation, your FYI architecture, and then you have your separate, you have an architecture firm.
Yeah, separate firm. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So what is your relationship with architecture then? If you took into the field, and I made a joke that you loved it and you were like, kind of. I'd love to hear you kind of speak and elaborate on that.
So basically, as you know, architecture is a very tough field. It is like the most hardest degree to get.
100%, yeah.
Yeah. So, and again, after graduating, getting a project is much difficult. So I am in that phase where I am talking to clients. Some of them are, they are not coming to us. Some of them are rejecting us, or some of them are, we are doing some projects with them. So for my firm, it is like, okay, I'm doing something, but I'm in love with my content. So architectural as a field, I think I'm not in love with that. But telling information, telling stories, creating some videos and everything, I am in love with that. So I was always an actor since my childhood. I was always an actor, and the thing was, I wanted to go into films.
Oh, okay.
But my family didn't allow me because, you know, Bollywood, they didn't allow me. You should not go. It is not good for you. Typical Indian families. Okay. So it was like, okay, how can I pursue my dream? And then I started with this page. It was very random. Okay. It was very random. So it started in lockdown when the COVID happened in 2020. It happened then. So right after I left my job, it was on 19th March 2020, and I was not aware about the lockdown will go till like 2 years. So my next plan was to start my own firm, and I just resigned from my job. And second day it was like lockdown.
Oh,
COVID
that's
is here.
so, I thought it happened like at the same time, but that's crazy that it was like 2 days
Like,
before.
yeah. So it was like that, and my family was like, "Are you sure you're resigning?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's okay." And the second day it was like, India is shut down for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and oh my God, what should I do? So at the same night, I sat down. I talked with my brother, who's my elder brother, who's an engineer. I talked with them, and we both thought about starting a page. So I didn't sit and wasted any time. I started it on the second day, 20th March 2020. So FYIArch began from that date. And for 2 months, I didn't post anything on that. I was not very clear what to do. And the idea was to create a virtual portfolio for the clients. So whenever the client comes to you, I can show certain type of like a Pinterest on Instagram. I could create pins, I could create mood boards, I could tell about materials and details. And that's how it started. For 1 year, it was like, okay, I'm doing something and all. Uh, then I got another job. I work with Acom. It is an American company. So I worked with them for a year. And then I thought that, okay, I should do it full time now. And then from last year, I am doing this full time and creating content, visiting events, and doing all that stuff. And it's fun.
Yeah, it definitely is super fun. I resonate a lot with that story, actually. So I graduated in 2020 with my master's, and I was like, okay, cool, I have my master's now, but it's COVID, and how am I going to get a job? So I got really lucky, and I did end up getting a job like a month after I graduated, but I didn't stay there very long. And then I moved to a different firm. It was a really small firm, and I worked there for 2.5 years. I learned so much because it was so small. There was only me, my boss, and one other person. And so I started my page like a year and a half ago, and I just had that same desire. Like, I always loved creating videos as a kid, and like YouTube skits, and like I like to think I'm pretty funny too. So I love to create like humor, but like it was the same thing. Like when I started, I just wanted to post like old school projects I did because I wanted to give them like everlasting life somehow. Like I had spent 5 years grueling over these projects, and then no one was ever going to see them again. It didn't feel right. So I created the page much like you said, like a Pinterest board, like wanting to promote what I was doing. And then it sort of turned into an educational thing. And then after I grew comfortable doing educational content, I was like, okay, well, I think I've been doing educational content long enough. Like I can start doing little funny skits now too, and like adding humor into it. I feel like a lot of people in the online space will push value, give value. And it's like I was giving so much value, but I was like, I also want people to like feel me as a person.
Yes, yes.
You know, it's funny to poke humor at architecture because it is such a hard, grueling industry to be in. And it's like if we can't laugh at ourselves and like make fun of it in a way, it's like we have to have fun, right?
And that's how it helped my account to grow actually. So it took me time to like understand reels, how I would do it. So it was introduced, I think, in October of 2020. The reels were
Mm-hmm.
introduced in India, and I was not very sure that how I can put myself out there. And nobody knew me by my face then. Like
Oh,
this
okay.
person is associated with this particular page. So I wanted to come out there like I am the person. Okay, this is the face behind FYIArch, and I was not very sure about how to do it. It again took me 3 months to do it. And I put out my face one day with a humor centric reel. I really loved it. My audience also loved it. And now it is the
Mm-hmm.
main part of my page as well. And it's fun because like the only thing I do while making those kind of videos, it is like I make it for myself first
Yeah.
because I love it a lot, and I have those ideas in my head. I visualize every other detail in my head. I write everything down. I make a script out of it. I tell it to my friends. If they feel okay, it's funny, we'll go into production and we make it. And it's super fun. Sometimes it does not work. I mean, like me being having certain followers, I get only 2-3 thousand views sometimes. And then it is discouraging, but it is okay that because what I am visualizing, I have like put it out there. Maybe my audience wouldn't like it, but it is the fun. The process is amazing. It is fun, and you keep up coming with new ideas.
Exactly. Yep. I love the new reel that you put out recently, the one with your mom in it. I thought that that
Ah,
was so great. So tell me about your new course. So is this the first course you are putting out?
yeah. So I have been planning since 1 year about any courses I want to take. I was talking to people. Okay, guys, I want to take course. I want to take course, or maybe I will collaborate with you, and you can take up a course with me because I have
Mm-hmm.
good number of reach. I can be your marketing person, and I can bring out students to you, and you can take a course with me. But to do that, I always wanted to have a website, have a payment gateway, and everything in place. I just don't want to that introduce it on a story and register. I don't want to. I didn't want to do that. I always wanted it to be a channelized way, very very professional way. So I waited
Yes.
for 6 months. I gathered all the information. I studied what is to be needed. So I made a website all by myself. I invested some money into it. I made my website. I took a Google Workspace account. I paid for that again. And paying for something for us Indians is always very hard. We do not pay very quickly. So it takes time for us. So it's again like all the permutation and combinations in place. I paid for all these accounts, premium accounts, and then I started. And while I was talking with a person who's an architect, he was also my mentor in my college. I was talking with that, and he said, you are talking on Instagram, sharing knowledge. Help people how they can grow on Instagram because architects or designers wants to grow on Instagram, and you can share your experience. So since last year November, I started writing this course. It took me 2 months to write everything down. I wrote at least I think 9,008 to 10,000 words on my word file. I wrote everything down, put it down into 13 or 14 modules, and then last so I launched this course on Valentine's Day.
Okay.
So because the narrative was, the marketing strategy was, do what you love, and
Yeah.
I launched it that day, and the webinar happened in March. I had almost 400 people attending that webinar, which was very beautiful. And then I came up with an advanced course where that is a premium course. People have to pay for that. The webinar was the free one.
Yep.
And now we are having a paid course on 15th of April, and really excited and nervous about it as well. So because it's my first paid course. So yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I I went through a similar experience. I think it's really cool that you're creating a course specifically on how designers can utilize Instagram, because I haven't seen that at all anywhere. And I think that people are still figuring out this shift in Instagram. So something that you were talking about was you had your account and you didn't show your face for like the first year, and then you started to show your face, and it's like that shift in our culture of brand, right? It's like now everybody as a person is their own brand.
Yes.
And everybody wants to associate a face with the brand. So that sort of shift, I feel like, is so important, and making that connection for designers, because it's like, how do we, on one hand, showcase our work, which is a still image, but also connect that back to a brand, a person behind that. And it's like, people are going to choose to work with us because of who we are and not necessarily because of our portfolios. So I think it's really cool that you're connecting the two pieces and linking that for people.
Even in my webinar, I told the people that bring in the you element into your brand. Do not just like put your work, but bring in the you element, because you are doing something that you love. It is not like someone is forcing you to do that. So why not show your face, bring in the you element, what you like? And for me, the you element was all the humor centric content, because it was very natural to me. It came naturally to me, and I'm putting it out very naturally. So it works for me at the best. So yeah.
Yeah. So would you say that the humor skits are your favorite type of content to create?
I try to avoid it because I don't want to be associated my page to be a meme page.
Okay.
I don't want to call that. So I was very, very skeptical about like putting some comedy or humor content on my page, because people would call that, okay, FYIArch is a meme page because they put comedy and humor stuff. So what I did was to only put things which are stereotypes in our field, like client is not paying our money, or client, imagine a client is in a parallel universe, creating few beautiful skits out of that. So certain topics which are very, very related and relatable to architecture and design, I only do that so that my page would not be called as a meme page. But I do love it. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have like a separate page where you post all of your humor content?
Same
No?
page.
Okay.
Same page.
Same page. Okay. You just make sure that it's tailored to stay in the same.
Yeah. So the calendar is full. Like in the month of April, it is all planned. So how many content I will put, how many informative content I'll put, how many promotional content I should take and collaborate with others. So that is all planned. So I don't do too much of promotional or collaborative content as well, because sometimes audience don't like when you keep selling stuff on your account.
Yeah.
So you have to be very original, very authenticated, that, okay, I'll sell 2 items per month. Okay, not 5 to 10 items. So not too many brand deals and something like that. So I have to balance it, because your audience is your loyal audience. So you don't want to take them off from your page.
Yeah, exactly. So are you just on Instagram?
I keep trying on YouTube and LinkedIn. So I put my content on LinkedIn as well, because LinkedIn is more professional. You connect with serious kind of audience and sometimes with clients. And few of my clients directly came from LinkedIn to me asking for work. So it's really beautiful platform. So my next goal is to go grow on LinkedIn now, to make my personal brand more authenticated and more serious.
So you have found that because of your FYIArch page that you have gotten clients through that.
Yes, yes. So majorly brand deals, not like architecture, but the brands who are into the field of architecture, like a certain product or a certain company who produces styles, or a certain company who sells decor products, or a certain platform who is helping architects, just like LinkedIn. So I promote these type of brands, or certain college who wants to get more admissions for their students. So I work with these brands which are associated with the field.
That's really fascinating. I always thought that's where like the whole brand of a person, and I've been seeing and hearing that, but I haven't heard anybody in this architecture field or designer field specifically talk about it. So it's really interesting to hear that you have like the material. There's so many different avenues, like the schools and like the products, and sort of speaking to all those things. It's so vast, honestly, like what
It's
we're
very
able to
vast,
do.
and sometimes it's like we have to prefer what we want to do, because if we go out of the niche, Instagram might punish you.
Yeah.
So me taking this course, Instagram punished me a lot, because
Oh,
I was
really?
going outside from my niche, because my niche
Okay.
was design centric, to create information about design and architecture. But I was doing something different. I was telling about Instagram as well. So it was outside my niche. But slowly and steadily, now my account is again in the same place, which it was 2 months before. So my followers were in minus for 2 months.
Right. Because you
So
were sort of shifting into that educational, like, I'm going
yeah,
to do a course now and teach you how to have a presence on Instagram as a
yeah. So
designer.
yeah, so it was a bit different from the my niche, but now the algorithm have studied what I'm doing and what I'll
Yeah.
keep doing forward. So now the followers and growth rate is back to normal.
Awesome. So this is your first course you're putting out, your first paid course on April 15th. What are your plans for the future of FYI architecture? Do you think that you're going to go deeper into this course creation? Do you like the course creation? I'd love to
So
hear about that.
basically, okay, what I'll do, I have this specific course ready now. So I'll be
Mhm.
taking more batches of it. If it is very popular, I'll keep doing it, maybe month by month. And I'll also work with certain tutors who are subject matter experts in those fields. So for example, if someone is very smart in Revit, I might take course with them. And we'll keep doing this for certain different topics. So there are many topics, and architecture is a vast field. So that is
Mhm.
one part. And I always love to be part of big events. So
Yeah.
I want to be content partner there with those people, covering the full event for them, or maybe be a media partner for them. So that is my goal again, to do that. Do workshops and seminars in colleges, help students and through FYR, and work with brands. And not by saying brands, I want to work with luxury brands now.
Right.
So my end goal is that to work with luxury brands, get that audience, that get that client base to see your content. So an interview, like the big shots of architecture. Like I want to go out now and interview them into their office, and
Mhm.
like all the big architects in the whole world. So yeah, trying that.
So do you think that if your content career could sustain you, that you'd stop designing?
That is the question I ask myself a lot.
Yeah.
So I am still in between balancing both, but I know someday I have to choose.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe a long-term goal is getting a partner for the firm who can handle the firm full time, because I don't want to be away from design,
Yeah.
but I don't want to be the boss there. I cannot sit on the boss chair there, because handling two companies might get difficult after some time.
Yeah.
And maybe I have to then drop off few projects, and that is not good for company. So my long-term goal is that if I get a partner, maybe a wife who is architect, so I can give it to her. So like she can handle the firm, take off the projects, and even I can also work on those projects, but not the face of the company.
That makes sense. I feel like that is so similar to how I am right now too. So I quit my job about a month ago and I'm doing content and workshopping and course creation and the podcast, trying to do it full time now because, like you, I really love talking to people. I love
Yes.
helping people. I've just sort of thought, like, okay, maybe it's actually possible for me to reach out to my college. It's like an hour away, and start getting integrated there and going back to volunteer and talk to my old professors and really get into that. But before I quit my 9 to 5, and even now when I was working, I was like, how am I ever going to give up design? Like, I really love design, but I also really love teaching and helping and creating content. And it was like, I was always doing both. And now I'm sort of in a position where I am not working for somebody else.
Okay.
And I had one student reached out to me, and she was from India, and she was like, I love your page. I'm doing my thesis and I'd love to hire you to help me. And I was like, okay. And she presented her thesis and she was like, I can't imagine doing my thesis without you. It's like, wow, like this, I love this. Like, I love helping people create and be creative, because since I've left school and I worked in practice, obviously, as we know, that creativity sort of weans off, and we don't have as many creative avenues in practice, and doing the content always kept that alive for me in a way. So it was really cool to be able to work with a student again and like be in that student mindset of like anything is possible and like help them bring that to life. So yeah, I have a really similar experience of like creating content and loving it.
The fun fact was I started with creating Revit videos at start.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah.
Okay. I was going to ask you what programs you use and what
So
programs you
basically
prefer.
before, like when I started Instagram, I also parallelly started YouTube.
Okay.
And for 2 months, I didn't do anything on Instagram. Like from a March to May, I think I didn't do anything. From I think June, I think I didn't do anything. And I from May I started creating tutorial videos of Revit, and it was like I call it Revit 101. So all from starts, from creating grids to creating levels, creating ceilings, walls, and everything. I have like up to 30 videos of Revit, each like up to 20 or 25 minutes on YouTube, even now on my page.
Mm-hmm.
So I started doing that. Then I stopped it. Like it was taking too much of time. I was
Yeah.
very new at YouTube. It took me 6 hours to record. It took me 3 hours to upload because I had very slow internet that time. And it was like a whole day creating 120 minutes video. I was like, no, dude, I have to stop it. Then I shifted to Instagram and slowly I started growing there. And then I forgot about YouTube. Okay, YouTube is long gone for me. But now
Yeah.
again, like since last year also, I bought up my series called One Was Sagar Dialogue, which I came with a season 2 of it. I talk with architects there. And one was Me Time with Sagar, which was the podcast or a podcast. Like it was a video thing. So I talked with people who are doing something different in the field of architecture. So we had a lighting designer, we had a content writer, we had a graphic designer, a furniture designer, a set designer, and one who was into computational and AI kind of design, like using Midjourney, ChatGPT, and everything. So we talked with these people. It was again very beautiful. Again, I stopped it. I started with my community meetups in my city.
Mm-hmm.
It was very great, and I'm planning to have a second round of community meetup this year. Also doing courses. So many things are in place now, but it's like you have to
Yes.
do something now according to time, according to the sponsorship I get. So it's very difficult, but it's fun.
Yeah. And the center thing around all of those is community, which I think is so interesting, because I've started speaking about this a lot. Is for me, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, and I sort of happened upon architecture. And when I first got to architecture college, I didn't really know what to expect. And I went to a college that had other disciplines, engineering and all those other things. And when I was in freshman exploratory, you're with everyone, every other major. And I said, oh, I'm doing architecture. And everybody looked at me and was like, architorture, torture. And I was like, what? I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'd never heard this. Like, I didn't know anything about the architectural education, like any of the stigmas around it. And everyone was scaring me. And I was like, oh my God, am I going to be able to do this? Like, sounds terrifying. And the one thing like that kept me there in the beginning was the community of studio, the community of the teachers, of the TAs, of my peers in my individual studio class, and then studio wide, like just connecting with everybody. And then eventually towards the end of the semester, when I presented my first project, that feeling of like, wow, like I worked so hard the whole semester on this project, and now I get to see it come to life and like share it with everybody. But that central core piece of community always stuck with me. And when I stopped, graduated and sort of lost that, I was like, how do I get this sense of community back? Like architecture is so community based.
Yes.
And, you know, our work, when we do commercial work, residential work, it's all essentially for our communities, right? We want to better our communities in the built environment through experience of space. And I think it's so cool that you're really integrating yourself in your community. And I admire that so much. And I'm so excited to hopefully be able to do some of those things over here in my world. And I would just like, would love to know, like, I know you had a mixer. I had seen that. I've been following you for quite some time, and I saw you had a mixer. How did you go about like finding a space to organize and host people?
So it was like I had a very good platform to bring on people. It was FYR.
Yep.
I simply went on the story. I started with, hey guys, I want to do something in my city. And in my city, nobody knows me. But in the
Okay.
bigger cities like Mumbai or Delhi, if you are aware of Indian cities, people know me a lot. So
Okay.
in my own city, the demographics are too less. People don't know who FYIArch is or who is Sagar. So I was like, hey guys, and all students and professionals, we are calling up, and there is an architect who is a mentor to me in my city. I contacted him that, sir, I'm having such kind of event, and I want a place to host such event. And he was like, I have a college. You can come here. Even it will promote my college on a bigger scale. It will
Mm,
help me into admissions as well. And you can host the event. It will be good for our students to understand how events are and how you can strengthen the community. So when they graduate, they can also do similar stuff. So it was all free. It was all free for everyone. Entries were free. Everything was free. Even we offered them food from our play, half. So it was like all from our pockets. So it was that. It was the first one of the kind event for me. So I didn't want to take any money from the participants, but maybe in future to make it big and get sponsors, I have to do it.
that
So that
makes
was
sense.
wonderful. Yeah, that was a wonderful experience actually. So I didn't imagine I would get like 20 or 30 people, but we got almost 80 to 90 people into that event. So,
Wow.
like it was good. So I always expect less and then I get more.
Yeah, exactly. So then what was the setting? Was it like a round
So
table, like everybody kind of
yeah,
shared
yeah.
about themselves?
So
Okay.
I didn't want to take it as a typical panel discussion. Like
Yeah.
few big architects are there, and then small, young architects or students will just listen to their and
Hmm.
inspire from them. It was like I should also talk. A student who is studying in the fourth year should also talk, and even the person who is a architect who has 10 years of experience should also talk. The questions were very simple. We talked about how we can strengthen the community. What are the problems we are facing? Like the most common problem, like not getting clients or not getting paid on time. So everybody shared their experiences, how they tackled those experiences, what things can be done better, then how you can approach your thesis, how thesis can be done in a certain way, what are the things you should do, like live case studies, book case studies, read books and everything. Then we talked about different type of tools which are very important in architecture. So Revit, we talked about Revit as well. It is an important tool. Talked about computational design. So it was overall talking about stuff which we find difficult to talk or know about. So while reading on the internet, we get half information. So it was like 80 people coming together and talking and sharing their problems. And also we did a fun activity. So it was an FYI event. So always we need to have a fun activity. So we separated that event into three parts. The part one was taking four questions. Then we had a game in middle and with the food. And then at the second half, we'll have again three questions. So it was a film, right? First half, an interval, and second half. So we did that game. It was a very funny game, and you just have to confess what you have done. So a few people were like not picking up the client's call. A few people like bunking the college or some fun elements, and yeah, all Indian things.
Yeah, that is so fun. I love that so much. And it's so nice to see like people having ideas and then executing on them, because that's what holds a lot of people back, is like the
Yeah,
fear
yeah.
of like this has to be perfect. It's like it doesn't have to be perfect. Like let's just get all these people together, and we're all architecture people, so we'll just find stuff to talk about. Like this is gonna work out, and trusting that it's gonna work out, and it did. And
Even in my course, I have a separate module for this particular thing, conquer your fear.
yes.
So it was like even I took 1 year to prepare a course. But then
Mm-hmm.
it was like, this is my journey and my learnings I'm telling. So why I need to fear? It is very easy for me. So I started creating it. So it is
Yeah.
like we always think like what we think audience won't like it. But what if audience would like it and we are thinking a lot. So we overthink a lot as designers. It is just like as you said, just do it.
Yes, exactly. We do overthink a lot as designers. But we just got to put our content out there because,
Yes,
like you
yes,
said,
yes.
we don't know how our experiences are going to help someone else. Like, I never could have imagined that someone was going to find my page, right? At that time, I was just posting personal projects I did in school and started to give tips about Revit. And she was like, I would love to hire you to help me. And I'm like, what? You never know who's watching you. You never know who wants to learn from you, even people when you least expect it.
There is audience for every type of content.
Mm-hmm.
Every type of content. And even in my course, I was always like quantity over quality. So it is,
Yeah.
so you have already heard it like ways, quality over quantity. But for me, it is not the same. It is always quantity over the quality. Why quantity? I'll tell you that because if you keep it to yourself, you will never get it out. And what just happened with my course, I had quantity of content just because of the quality. I didn't came out, bought my course or started to take money from people just because I was afraid that maybe the quality is not good and audience won't like it. So it is as important, like is quality is important. You should also work on the quantity because if you keep working on quantity, then only you will be perfect. So people do fear that, okay, the quality is not perfect. I should not put it on my Instagram account. But it is you who is overthinking about it. Maybe the audience might love it. So start posting. So there are these are the things I'll be covering into my
Mm-hmm.
course and also in my free webinar I covered these things. So yeah, that will help designers a lot. It is all just like embrace like getting out of the fear you have.
Mm-hmm. I think it's especially hard for designers because we're critiqued so much throughout our
Mhm.
education. And obviously, like, people are always judging our work. We design and clients judge our work, and everyone's judging our work constantly. We have this drilled in, it has to be perfect, it has to be perfect. And it's like when it comes to Instagram and putting out content, nothing is ever going to be perfect. But the more you do something and the more you practice, you're going to refine that skill. So it's like you were saying, quantity over quality. It's like the more quantity you're producing, the better you're going to get. And I think a lot of people also get tripped up on if it's not perfect the first time, then what's the point? It's like you can talk about the same thing 1,000 times. Like just because one person saw it doesn't mean everybody saw it. Think about how many times we see commercials, right? Like people need to see things over and over again. I think that is also a really important topic when it comes to creating content is like people are like, oh, I created it once, so it has to be perfect. And it's like, no, created it 50 times, put it out there 50 times, maybe not consecutively, but you'll create it like over and over again and it will refine itself.
So my most viral reel, which was like around 6 million views,
Wow.
and I had only 2,000 followers that time, and it took me less than 3 minutes to make.
Yeah.
Less than 3 minutes. And I was like shocked, like I didn't do anything to it. Zero kind of hard work in that. And this reel is working. And next day, I'm working for 2 hours researching on a topic. It is getting only 10K of views. So what is happening? So it's not in your hand. So from that day, I've learned that you just do not have to focus on creating viral content. You just have to focus on creating content.
All right, Sagar. Well, this was an amazing conversation.
Yeah.
I want to thank you so much for coming on here. I love talking about Instagram for designers. It's so exciting that your course is coming up. I am so thrilled to see what you continue to do in your community and your workshops and courses and how you are bringing content creation and designers together.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.